Yeah, I think people probably also, if you hadn't heard the rap song, or you didn't come across that, you might have seen the hashtag SOS Cuba, which is still being deployed. Um, that was actually a Spanish analyst, Julian Macias Tovar, did some research into this hashtag, and it's pretty interesting. The first account to use that hashtag wasn't actually Cuban, but from Spain.
Classic.
Yeah, he found out that, like, that same account, the one that first used hashtag SOS Cuba and kind of like spread this whole thing, posted about it about 1,300 times that day. That account is now since been suspended by Twitter. It's not on the website anymore because it was flagged, rightly, I guess, as a robot man or lady. Tovar also found that one of the guys fueling the hashtag was actually an Argentinian guy, Agustin Antonetti, who's actually part of a right-wing group. He has also worked on other campaigns against Evo and AMLO in Mexico. And so it looked like, it's a pretty interesting report. I read about it, I think it was on Telesur English. They had mapped out like different matrices of like 1,500 social media accounts that participated in this like operation that day using that hashtag, and like all of them, the guys like responding to other like big artists and big check marks using the hashtag, all of them were accounts that had been created between July 10th and July 11th.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it sounds like crazy libtard, whatever, be like, oh, the bots, whatever. But like, actually, no, this whole entire hashtag matrix and its use on the internet all literally started from bots, and a well-funded operation at that, because I think that Tovar does a great job of explaining and really like looking into this, of how sophisticated this one was as compared to ones in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of SOS country name is basically always a good sign that there are some malicious actors involved. We saw SOS Nicaragua, SOS Venezuela. People love using SOS in these sort of hashtags, which, I got to be real, that's a ship thing. Don't bring that on land. It's disgracing the purity of the sea. But it was briefly, although it seems like it's sort of fading in prominence as the news cycle moves on, and also as the protests have essentially ended. It was part of what appears to be a very multi-pronged strategy to really push the fact that, Cuba is in crisis and that we need to help somehow. That's always the thing. And according to basically everybody from any side of this, the political spectrum here, is that Cubans are protesting against their authoritarian government. And so you start to wonder what they mean by help here. There are some politicians, I think DeSantis said this. I know that a lot of Miami politicians have said this in a very, very clear way, but, to some people that means military action. A lot of more people are sort of more open-ended on what that means, but it can really only mean one thing, which is support for people trying to overthrow the Cuban government. And if there isn't enough organic support, then we'd have to create some. And so there is essentially no way that this breaks out of this sort of fighting a war type dynamic here, which, again, we have been fighting a war on Cuba essentially since the revolution, or not essentially, directly since the revolution. We also saw a lot of protests within the U.S. I would say it was probably more people protesting in the U.S. at most points than there actually were in Cuba, including in Miami, shutting down the freeways. And then I remember, this was for about a day a really hot topic. There was going to be a reverse boat lift, a caravan of boats down to Cuba, and this was they had all these plans, and people had these big meetings. I saw videos of these with a bunch of boaters in Florida. It looks like they were all turned back by the Coast Guard, and so none of them made it to Cuba.
Best laid plan of boaters.
Exactly. I know boaters have really had a hard time of it lately. I mean, the Trump administration was great for them, and then since then, it's gone south for our sweet friends on the high seas.
Our beautiful boaters, yeah.
Jeffrey